Welcome to another episode where we discuss sibling interaction, their feeling, and whatever life has been like with them, considering that they have a sibling who's got autism. So this is Meso Machi, and we kind of want to find out how, from her as well, how she's felt growing up. I mean, she's 5 years older than her, and knowing that her sister has got autism or has autism living with her, how she felt, and generally just, I'll let her talk about life. If there's any need, I will jump in and ask her a few questions.
Being the older sister was already challenging because you're technically not responsible, but you have a duty to make sure that those who come behind you are doing well, and they're doing essentially taking care of them. It makes communication a little bit harder, and checking in is always a little bit difficult it was a little bit difficult at first, before I understood exactly what it meant to be on the spectrum. It was a little bit difficult because I would say things like, I would try and come, because usually I'm a very high energy person, and usually if I want to say something, I say it with a lot of, I don't usually ask directly, or I'll try and make a joke, but for a while, she used to not like when I did that, and if I try and make a joke, she'd be like, "Oh no, stop joking or stop playing." And after a while, I just kind of shut off, because I was like, okay, I can't be myself to her, so I'm just going to wait for her to come to me, essentially. So that's how the relationship was for the longest time. I would sit down and she would come to me, and it would be just short conversations, nothing really
deep.
Yeah, about that. So it was very stoic, very organized relationship. It was, yeah. And so that was how it was for a while. But then, as I continued to understand what it meant to be on the spectrum, it became a little bit easier, and I was able to find ways to have those conversations, and know that if she says something, if she gives me a one-word answer, it's not from a place of lack of interest, it's from a place of just, this is how the internal computer is running. These are the responses that you get. So at first it was hard. There was a lot of "you're not my parents." That was said to me a lot. Because I would try and say something, I would try and give advice, and she would be like, "Oh, you're not mommy, you're not daddy, why are you saying this?" And that would now lead to even further explanation. So yeah, but with time came understanding, and we're still working on it, but for the most part it's a much better relationship now than it was a lot of years ago. That's one I can definitely say for sure.
Okay, so when you say, when you now came to understand what having autism was, so can you kind of like describe that so people will understand what was your perception, or what didn't you understand, and then what did you come to understand? You know?
One of the things I didn't understand was why it was so difficult for me to get my point across. It was a lot of her not understanding something, me trying to explain, and then her following up with but why this, and I felt like I was explaining the same thing over and over again.
Which is really typical for some of them, or if not all or most of them, just wanting that which is familiar, what they're used to. So any deviation from the norm, they kind of kick off a lot of resistance against it.
You can say the emotional intelligence is not as high as normal, like as normal people. It's high in other ways. It's very high in other ways. So even if she's not able to always assess a situation or give the appropriate response, all other things are much more emotion. She shows much more emotion than a lot of other people would. Then, so yeah. So it's good. It's still a working relationship, or a relationship that is working on. But there's been a lot of progress. I can say that for a fact. That things have definitely over the years gotten much better.
Next time we have Meso on, like she said, things have gotten better, but we're going to try and isolate when it was not so good. Reason being that there are a lot of people who are just coming into the knowledge that their children or their sibling or kind of accepting of the situation. So if they can relate with people who've gone through it, who are still living it, it probably will help everyone react better, we hope, which is the essence of all of this. So it's not all hunky-dory. There are all the stressors and stressful points, but we're just kind of giving you a highlight and overview. And when we come back later, next month or so, whenever we come back with Meso, because she's very busy, she's a videographer and all of that, we will let her talk about how it was emotionally, how it still is, maybe mentally, and all of that. So for now, if you'd like to get more, please subscribe, click, or is it over there? It's somewhere, all over. Follow us on our Instagram, on our Facebook, and my own personal channel as well. So we have Shades of Life, and then we have me as well. So thank you. Till next time.